Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to you all. Welcome to another Money Space with me, Kalu Aja. And of course, on our spaces, we're talking money, the economy, and of course, personal finance. How can we make these topics personal to you? That's what we're talking about. Want to make you a better investor by giving you like information, like to build you up and all that. This week, like we have an interesting topic. It looks more like, like highfalutin, but it's very, very personal. As you guys know, there's something called the World Bank. It's not really a bank, but that's the name that we colloquially give it, the World Bank. And they've been in Nigeria for a while, since 1958, or even before that. I think the first loan that Nigeria took from the World Bank was in 1958, and that was a loan taken by the British government or guaranteed by the British government, right, to build railways in Nigeria. I think they extended the railway to Borno. And I just shared, if you go to my timeline, I just shared now pictures of that rail or that bridge, one of the bridges being built over the river. Back then it was called Gongola State. You see the World Bank financing that project, $28 million. This was in 1958. So imagine, even today, $28 million is a lot of money. But in 1958, you had the World Bank financing infrastructure, real infrastructure in Nigeria. And you can see the picture up there, right? 1958, 28 million. Today we have the World Bank financing very, very fanciful sounding projects. Like I pulled up the World Bank's list of projects just to see what they are financing, the names and all that. You see like it's all very NG. Let me give you just one. NG accelerating resource mobilization reforms. You see that. You see solutions for internally displaced and host community, primary health care provision strengthening program, distributed access to renewable energy, women program scale up project. You see all these names that M&E support for MFWP. I don't want to really hit on the World Bank. But the point I'm trying to make is that we've gone from the World Bank funding railways and ports. The first loan that Nigeria took as a nation from the World Bank was to build the Apapa Wharf in Lagos. The first loan we took before we became a nation in 1958 was to build a railway to Borno. The pictures are up there. We've gone from that to funding umbrella organizations to support Nigeria for Women's Project. That's what we're doing right now. If I click umbrella project, the amount there is about 3.9 million. What does that mean? What does that mean? How does it affect you and I? It's 3.9 million. What's umbrella? What is that? So there's a lot of misinformation from my own end, maybe from you guys' own end. We don't really know what the World Bank does, and we want to just get clarity to see if they're actually helping or hurting us. But to make it a bit more personal to us, if you guys remember, we had the humanitarian ministry, and under the last administration, we took a lot of loans. The idea was we took loans in dollars to start a social welfare scheme where we get money to quote-unquote poor people. That project was not done with biometrics. So in essence, we shared out cash, but we cannot tell you who got that cash. And the World Bank funded that project. And it's nearly, if my numbers are correct, it's either $500 million or $1 billion for that project. So the World Bank is giving us cash, dollar cash. And we're supposed to take that dollar cash, convert to Naira, and give it to poor people across Nigeria. Those projects work. I mean, they've tried that in Brazil. I think it's Bolsa Familia. It works. When you give people, extreme poor people, cash, and you tie it to an outcome, say healthcare or education, it does work. So you get the cash, but you have to enroll your kid in school or get immunized. It does work. I'm not sure if that works in Nigeria's case, because Right now, even Nigeria doesn't have register for those poor people. And now we're taking more money, and the World Bank is funding that project. So we've gone from 28 million to build railways to 500 million to give to poor people. Is that hurting? Is that helping? I mean, you guys, the current minister has been suspended for corruption. The head of the ministries also suspended for corruption. The past minister also in news for corruption from the same ministry that is funded by the same World Bank. And still, we're giving them more money from the same World Bank to do exactly more of that. So I just want to talk around how the World Bank operates. I got a guy that I want to help us. Just I don't want to put him on the spot, just to give us, should we say, the lay of the land. How does World Bank operate? I have all their projects. I'm looking at them, all their projects. It's in the millions. I've also shared what they've given to Nigeria in terms of loans. So just look at my timeline. I made sure I share them just this morning so it's easy for you to search. If you look at the timeline, in 2020, about $2.5 billion, right? 2021, $3.2 billion. 2022, $2 billion. 2023, $2 billion. Currently, as we speak right now, we're about 3.7 billion. Not cumulative. This is loans that we're getting from the World Bank. Are we saying that if you introduce 3.7 billion to develop something in Nigeria, are you saying that people cannot see it? What is this? Where is this money going to? What's it going to be? What's it being used for? Is it being used for quote unquote umbrella? And I'm giving you a direct project from the World Bank site here. Umbrella organization to support Nigeria for Women's Project. What is that? So it's the Nigeria COVID Federal Fiscal Reforms Response. The projects are a bit, the way they write the loans are a bit too technical. I really don't see what it's doing, and it's all in the millions. It's all in the millions. So without much ado, let me introduce my guest, just so he can give us more clarity. Because like, see when I'm talking, I'm picking figures from the World Bank. I don't understand it, and I might misinform you. Let's get someone to come in and clear the air for us. So I've got Otumba Dr. Michael Olugbele, yeah? If you can unmute, just maybe introduce yourself, then perhaps sort of try to help us. You're speaking for yourself, just coming here to clear the air because you have a background in this. So go ahead and unmute, sir. Let's start from there.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kado. Good evening, Nigerian. Good day on wherever you are joining from across the world. So my name is Michael Olugbele. My background is in medicine. I'm a medical doctor by training, and also a public health physician. I had my master's in public health degree from Harvard University, but my medical degree was from University of Ilorin. And in 2011, 2012, I came back to Nigeria. I came back to Nigeria with the hope of course, coming back to give back to our country. Out of 15 of us I was at Harvard, my classmates that year. I think I was the one that came back to Nigeria.
Wow.
And since January 2013, I've been working with the World Bank. But as Mr. Akando has Kelly said, whatever I'm saying to us, I'm not speaking to us as the World Bank official position. The people that are paid to do that is our communication specialist, who is the one that handles external communication, or the country director. But I'm speaking to us today as a Nigerian, someone that's irrevocably committed to Nigeria working for everybody. So since 2013 January, I've been with the World Bank. But my area was my global practice is health, nutrition, and population. So I work in the health sector. So we have people that work in the agri sector, I work in the social development sector, I have people that work in social protection, infrastructure, economy, macroeconomics, and trade and investment. So there are different sections within the bank. So, but I work within the HMP, the Health, Nutrition, and Population practice group. So, like I said, please, I need to repeat over and over again. I'm not speaking for the World Bank. I'm speaking as a Nigerian who has knowledge of the World Bank, so that we can also share this information with all of us, so that we're able to do our work as active citizens better with more informed, and then we can be able to know how to get the actors, governments, much more responsible. So I can also give also a small my background. Apart from the work I do at the World Bank, I know the most important avenue where we can really make a change, and as we have been seeing recently, is when you are in government. Actually, we need more of us to be in government. People that are really committed, that have integrity, that have passion for others to make a difference. We need people that are really competent to be in government. So blowing away from governments, which we have done for some time now, because they told us that politics is dirty, is the bad way I should go into politics. So that has created a space where people come and have occupied. So for me, I've also shown interest in being as of rep. And what I'm doing in the bank now, what I was doing as of rep, they are not different. It's still the same. Just to give us that background, that I'm not here to speak for the World Bank. I'm not here to sugarcoat the World Bank. I'm not here to sugarcoat the government. I'm not speaking for the government. I'm just giving us the facts, so that we as citizens we will have the knowledge to play the role of the active citizen very well. So let me stop there, Mr. Kali.
No problem. Yeah, thanks for that. So just walk me through, how does a project come alive? For instance, this project. Well, let's pick a project. Like, how does it come alive? If let's say we have one right here: better education, service delivery for all operations, additional funding. How does that project come alive? Does Nigeria go to the World Bank and say, hey, we want to have better education? Or does the World Bank come to Nigeria and say, we think you need better education, take money and go and do it? How does it work?
Okay, thank you. So I think it will also be very good to give us like a small background about information about the bank.
Please
I think one of the reasons why this we're considering this topic today is what we saw. But at the timeline, I'm very active on Twitter, and I hear my opinion as a citizen, not as World Bank person, but as a citizen. So I make sure that I contribute actively in discourse, and of course, I'm always on the side of the people. I want a country that works for all of us. So one of the things that the reason for this discussion on the timeline recently, I think there was this media report that the minister said, Minister of Women Affairs said, oh, she did not sign the World Bank loan.
Otumba.
Because the 40%.
Otumba, I'm sorry to cut you. I want us to sort of get there, because the answers you're going to give at the very beginning will help us when we get to this particular story. Well, we want to touch on that story. This
Okay. So
yeah, and also the. No, I get you. This is why I'm asking this question. Like, how does a project come alive to Nigeria? Like, I have all the list of World Bank projects in front of me. So, if I pick modernizing financial and data management, who does Nigeria go to the World Bank, or does the World Bank come to Nigeria? How does it start? Let's start from there. Then we'll take it. Yeah.
So what I was trying to lay as the background was to understand the World Bank itself. So once that's the World Bank, all these questions will be answered. So let me just follow me. Let me like few minutes. Let me just lay that foundation, and all those questions will definitely be answered. So, like I said, so that was that say that minister said she couldn't sign, and there was a discussion around. I think David he also made mention in one of his podcasts, so that the World Bank loan Germany and other developed countries with 1% interest rate, and then for Africa they get 10%. So all of this shows that there is a lot of work for people to understand what the World Bank, how the World Bank work, and what is the World Bank itself. So for the World Bank, the full name is World Bank Group, because it's a group of 5 independent institutions. Five institutions make up the World Bank Group. So the number one out of the institution is called the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, IBRD. International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. So if you look at that name, it is International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. So from the name, you can guess that bank has one aim to do reconstruction. So that bank was the first of the institutions that was created after the World War II. So it was established in 1944 just to help with reconstruction that happened after World War II. So IBRD started in 1944. Then later in around 1970s, they started what we call the International Development Association, IDA, International Development Association. So then we have IBRD, then we have IDA. So what IBRD and IDA does is that they provide loans and provide loans to government. So both IBRD and IDA, the two of them, is what form what they call the World Bank. So when you mention World Bank, we now put it in group. What you are seeing is that we are talking about IBRD and IDA, International Development Association. And because both of them give loans facilities to governments, so they deal with the government, they deal with public sector, the government. Of course, the headquarters of that World Bank is not any other place other than Abuja, because this is the seat of government. So the headquarters of the World Bank is in Abuja. The office of the World Bank in Nigeria is in Abuja. The headquarters of the World Bank Group is in Washington D.C. So the third institution is called the IFC, International Finance Corporation. That is the private sector arm of government. That's the arm of the World Bank Group. That is the part that deals with private sector. So the IFC provides resources, loans to private sector. So if you want to do one energy project or power project, and you are a private entity, you cannot come to the World Bank. That's the IDA and the IBRD in Abuja and say, no, come and do that. We don't want to deal with government alone. But IFC deals with the private sector. So of course, for IFC in Nigeria, where do you think the office will be located? It's in Lagos, because that is the private capital. That is the capital of the private sector in Nigeria. So IFC office is in Lagos. Whereas the World Bank, that is the IDA and IBRD, is here in Abuja. Then we also have what we call the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes. So before the ICIC was created, we have what we call MIGA, Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. Meaning that if you are a private sector person or a firm outside of the country, you want to come and invest in Nigeria, for example, a country, for example, and you are worried about political instability, change of government, whatever. So you don't want your investment to go into the ruins. So you can still keep to World Bank to come and help me guarantee this investment. So that way, the country can still benefit from the investments, and the private sector council that. So that's what MIGA was created for, Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. Then the fifth one is the International Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes, ICCID. So when investment disputes arise, instead of going to regular courts, you can go to ICID for you to resolve your issue. So the five institutions form what we call the World Bank Group. So in Nigeria today, we only have three of those institutions in Nigeria. The World Bank, that is the IDA and IBRD, located based in Abuja, and then the IFC based in Lagos. So that's the World Bank. But the focus of the World Bank from the initial part was for them to be able for the bank was meant to help to eradicate poverty. That was the initial focus. So the bank focused on let's eradicate poverty, because how do we eradicate poverty? Initially, we thought about by doing bridges, by building roads, by doing power sector, connecting power. So it's like chicken. Is it chicken that should come before the egg or the egg before the chicken? Mm-hmm. So, but if you build roads, if you build power, then the economy will improve. But later on, say, okay, no. Of course, all those ones are very important, but you need human capital to be able to drive those economic growth. So that's why the issue around education, social protection, all those kind of things came into being. So the focus of the World Bank is to eradicate poverty and also boost shared prosperity. So initially, it was mostly eradicating poverty by improving the economy. Once the economy improves, then poverty will reduce. That was the initial thought. But the bank soon realized that even as the economy was improving, some people were getting richer, while more people are getting poorer. So the bank now added boosting shared prosperity and ensure that the bottom 40% also do better. Is that to our goal? So the objective of the bank, the goal of the bank, shifted from eradicating poverty to also include improving shared prosperity. And of course, as climate change become an issue, we now added in a livable planet to it in the last 1 or 2 years as the goal of the bank. So the bank does this. It does this by the bank ensure that poverty is eradicated and they will boost shared prosperity through three ways. Number one, the bank.
Otumba, I hear you. And we're on Twitter, so we can get information. I don't want us to give what we can Google ourselves. So because you're a subject matter expert, so I really want to get those things that we can't Google. If you mind me saying.
Yes. So let me just give us the.
No, I get that.
Those baseline will help. Like I said, so this baseline, then we can now throw it open and people can ask questions.
I haven't even asked you questions, sir. Don't worry.
So the thing is that if you start with questions, it will be you will get bits and pieces.
Otumba, don't worry. Let me run it for 5 minutes. Then I hear you. People are following, and everyone can Google all what you're saying. I completely get what you're saying. Like I'm saying, when we do Twitter Spaces, it's like when a village under the tree, under the moonlight, we're talking, an elder is talking, we're listening, then we ask questions, then we can go back and Google, then we ask questions. So the idea is to give us information back and forth. So even though I have a position, I'm going to be a host, which means sometimes I'll ask you questions I disagree with, just to get information. So let's start off, because if we monotone it becomes. Where I'm going to is this, right? Back to my original question. It's a very, very important question. Who determines a project? If I see a project on the World Bank website, whether it's from the IFC or the IRDB, who initiates it? Does Nigeria go to them and say we need better schools, or do they come to us and say you need better schools? What's the structure of that?
To structure that on the street, every project is initiated by the government. The government will be the one to make a request. Without a request from government, the World Bank does not act. So every project that you see is come as a request from government.
Okay, excellent. So if we make it particular now, the humanitarian ministry, the social security framework of sharing cash to the extreme poor in Nigeria is a project of the Nigerian government.
Exactly.
Okay, those funds that the World Bank gets, we know it's funded by multinational development institutions. When they give it to Nigeria, like this particular one, the one that was in Nigeria for the Humanitarian Foundation, was it a loan or was it a grant? Because it looks like it's a loan from what I'm looking.
That's the thing. So that is because we didn't have this one. So the World Bank, for the World Bank, when you World Bank, that's the IDA and IBR that has the government. The World Bank gives loan if it's an IBRD, or it gives credit. So there's a difference between the two of them. So the type of finance that the bank gives, it can either be an IBRD loan or an IDA credit. So IDA was created for poor countries, to help developing countries. IBRD was the IBRD loan was for middle income country. So for Nigeria as we are now, Nigeria is a blended country, meaning that we are qualified to collect either credits or we get or IBRD loan. That's the difference between the two of them. For either credits, it's government both either credit and IBRD. They are what everybody understands as a loan generally, but the terms are different between the two of them. For either credits, you get at a very, 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 very concessionary rate. So mostly the interest, all the charges and everything plus interest that will be paid will be less than 2% on that money.
Okay.
Or whatever you are borrowing.
So
and there will be a moratorium, sometimes 10 years, and then it also for a longer period, sometimes 25 to 40 years to pay back. So that's for either.
Yes. So to answer the question, the loan that was the inflow for the poor people in Nigeria, was that a loan or a grant?
No, it's a loan. The World Bank is a bank. It's a development finance institution. It's a development bank. So picture the bank. So look at the World Bank. Picture the bank. So that's the reason why it would have been very, very easier if Adibu had followed. It would have been easier for people. So, but the way you can picture the World Bank is like a cooperative society. So the World Bank is a development cooperative society. Picture a cooperative society where you put in money there, you put in money, and then you can take back putting money from it in form of a loan. So the World Bank is owned by all the countries in the world. All the countries have their own contribution, but depending on the size of their share. So the World Bank, every country, all the Minister of Finance, they form the board. They are the one that sit on this one. So it's the bank of countries.
I get you.
Loans.
I get you. Where I'm going to.
For some very poor countries, they get grants. Very, very poor countries,
I hear you, but to be clear, was it a loan or a grant? Are we going to pay back this?
No. Nigeria get loan. Nigeria will get either credit or IBRD loan.
So what was it? This one, the humanitarian one was what? What was it? Was it a credit or a loan?
It was either credit.
So we're not going to pay back the one. We're not going to pay that back. It's like a grant.
We are going to pay back. It's not grants.
So it's a loan.
Grants. We are going to pay back.
So it's a loan.
It's a loan. So by the way, everything I'm saying can be found on the external website of the World Bank. Everything. What I'm saying now is what is available on the external website of the World Bank. I'm happy, Mr. Khan, you have already gone there. So if listeners can go to www.worldbank.org, worldbank.org, go to where we work, click on where we work. You see Africa, click on Africa, select Nigeria as a country. You see all the projects. And you see the details of all the projects there. So everything is very clear. You see documents of the projects, you see the loan agreement, you see the procurement plan, you see contract that be awarded, or what the money is used for. You see everything for all projects on those websites. Whatever we are saying is available on that website, external website.
I hear you.
I'm not letting us anything from the internal websites.
Yeah,
all these things are from external websites.
Because I'm on the site now. So the project is the National Social Safety Net project. I'm on the site now. I'm going through.
That's NASNet.
Yes, I'm going through it. I'm not sure I see where it says it's a credit or where it says a loan. I'm looking at it. I see the project, the amount, $500 million. That's a commitment. The cost is about 1.8 billion is the actual full loan. I think we have to put in 500 million, but I don't see where it says whether it's a loan or a credit. I don't see that. Let me share it.
No. So like I said to Ross, every of our people that you see there, except the one that are trust for maybe that other donor institution, maybe like a government, like a UK government or something. I want to pass to the World Bank. That will be grants. Yeah. Most of the projects that you see there, they are what everybody understands as loan, as the money that you are going to pay back.
So is this one? Are we going to pay? Are we going to pay this 1.8 billion? That's my question. Are we going to pay this back? That's the one I want to know. Is this loan or is Dash?
Which project is that?
The National Social Safety Net project. I just shared on the timeline, guys. If you want to follow along, I just shared the link. click on that link, take you straight to what I'm talking about, looking at. It's just on my TL. So this particular one, is it a loan? Because it doesn't say anything here. It just says, doesn't really say.
So it's money to be paid back. So because if it's an item, so for the sake of people understanding what we buy, any money you are going to pay back is let's call it a loan. So any money you are going to pay back, call it a loan.
Okay, this one is from. Okay, Doc, this one is from. I see it now. This is IDA is 500 million. IBRD is 500 million. So that means it's the grant amount not applied, so it's not a grant. We're going to pay this. This is a loan. We're going to pay this back, right? So it answers the question. This is a loan. So Nigeria has borrowed 1.8 billion from the World Bank. So Nigeria requested from the World Bank I'm not sure if we're going to pay 1.8 billion. From the World Bank.
Sorry, I'm trying to look at get the particular one you got.
I just shared the link on the timeline. So just click on that link. It takes you straight to the net.
Okay.
It's just on my timeline. Just click on that timeline. It takes you straight. That's the latest tweet I just posted now. National Statistics Net. You click on it, then go to finances, guys. You want to click finances. Then finances will take you to the IDA credits, 500 million. Borrower gets 1.333. So you see it there. So the total is about.
So we need to understand that the explanation for that. The commitment amount is $500 million. Abi?
Yeah. What does that mean?
Total project cost. Total project cost. So if you look at the notes, so I'm not telling us anything outside what we can find externally. Look at the notes. You know that they put one on that US 1.833 million dollars.
Mm-hmm.
They put one there. So look at the notes. Click on the notes. So you see, they said it's total project cost, including funding from World Bank and non-bank sources. So the commitment, the one that is commitment, that's what the bank is providing.
It's how much?
You understand the difference between the two of them now?
No, what I'm.
$500 million.
So what I'm saying is that so the question is very simple. Nigeria is going to pay back 1.8 billion. That's the point I'm trying to make. We are going to pay it back 1.8 billion.
No. Yes.
Let him answer.
Let him answer. That one shows notes. There's a note there. Look at the notes.
Yes, but Nigeria
includes funding from World Bank and non-bank sources.
I hear you, but Nigeria will pay back 1.8. That's what I'm not saying about the funding. I'm saying the World Bank.
No. That's what I'm saying. The commitment, what was committed to that the bank is providing, is that amount, that $500 million.
Where's what 1.333?
No, see, so when you have total project cost, sometimes the government will put its own money as part of co-finance. So what we call co-financing. Co-financing. So the bank might put its money, might sign the projects, and there might be co-financing from other sources, including government.
But it's right here. It says IDA commitment 500 million, IBRD plus IDA 500 million. There's a grant amount. Okay, so but see what I'm going to. I don't want us to see. I'm a money guy. So in the end, right? What I'm going to pay back if I'm the treasurer is it 1.8? That's what I'm asking. Less my commitment. So I pay back 500. But I get 1.8. Is that what you're saying? But I pay back 500.
No, you're not getting 1.8.
What will I get?
So for the World Bank, the World Bank is designing a project. A government has said, okay, we want to solve poverty.
Gotcha.
We want to determine poverty issue. They are the poor people that want to do something for. Okay, what's the total cost of this intervention you want to do? It's 1.8.
Okay.
Okay, the bank can give 500 from it. Do you understand?
Gotcha. I understand what you're saying. Okay.
So that's why you can see that either commitment 500. There is no IBRD commitment. No,
okay.
Because
so
either money.
I hear what you're saying. I hear you. So you're saying that Nigeria will pay back 1.8, but the World Bank's only commitment is the 500 million. The World Bank is supporting that program with 500 million.
I have not seen that Nigeria is by 1.8.
It's right there. It's right there on the paper.
No.
I'm listening for World Bank. Okay, I'm not attacking you. I'm not saying from the World Bank.
No. I'm not attacking, but I also have a duty for us to provide the right information so that we don't do. A program cost, for example, now if you go and check NPA, the child survivor NPA, the program cost for that NPA maybe was $1.5 billion. But what for that NPA is running with now is only $650 million.
Gotcha.
So they can have an overall budget envelope to pay for this program. We need $1.8 million for it, $1.8 billion for it. Because we are thinking that from our own investment, from our own resources, whatever it is, we are going to be able to provide this other resources, this $1.3 million.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fine. I that's fine. So we then go to the next question, right? So who monitors? So this is the federal government project. The World Bank is quote unquote like a partner. The project was not done properly, right? So when I mean not properly, we have reports of no biometrics were used. All the guys in charge are now either sacked or under investigation. Factual. So what role can we hold the World Bank to? Can we hold the World Bank responsible to say, hey, shouldn't you guys have put more oversight over your money? You know, where do you think the World Bank can nudge the government to do better? I mean, didn't they see this project? Didn't they ask questions? Hey, where are the biometrics? Where is your register? Should they have done better? Is that a question to ask you?
Yeah, so generally, like I said, like I mentioned before, government will determine a particular development challenge that they want to solve. They will approach the World Bank through the Minister of Finance to request, to make a request. Usually that request, so it's because we didn't go through systematically, and also always very important. I think I mentioned to that it would be better to have like the first 20 or 30 minutes to talk about, to lay the foundation that we don't go by the time we are jumping, we model off all these things. Before the World Bank, so there's a general document that guides the World Bank in what it does in any country. Before, so that document is called the Country Partnership Framework, or Country Partnership Strategy for smaller countries. But for Nigeria, we have what we call the Country Partnership Framework. Before we roll out that Country Partnership Framework, we would have done what we call a systematic country diagnosis. To say that, okay, this country is developing. It has these developmental challenges. Poverty is high. There's problem with out-of-school children. The economy is not doing well. So you have done a diagnosis of the issue that the country is facing. You have been the World Bank and the government are doing that together. So when you have done a diagnosis, from that diagnosis, you come up with recommendation. Okay, because we have issue with out-of-school children, we need to invest more in primary or secondary education. So, improving primary education become an area of possible investment. There is no regulation for banking, whatever. So, ensuring that regulation for banking become an investment area. So, the outcome of that systematic country diagnosis (SCD) is what inform the country partnership framework.
Gotcha.
So that framework will have laid down what the bank can support for the country to develop, to improve.
Okay, makes sense.
Any project that the government is bringing must align with that country partnership framework. If there's no alignment, the bank will not support it. They will say it's out of our scope. Because that partnership framework was designed together with the government.
Gotcha.
So they will look at all the long-term strategies, look at all the vision, whatever you are. That is what you inform that. So by the time government says, okay, I need to ensure that we do social safety net for our poor citizens. I would have loved to do it with my money, but I cannot wait to start collecting tax or start getting money from Kudoy. If I start waiting and the money start coming small, I will not be able to do the intervention that I want to do right now. So we are now approaching the World Bank. Please, World Bank, can you borrow me this money? So as I'm selling my crude oil, as I'm collecting my tax, I'm paying you back at a rate, the interest rate and the terms that are very, very favorable that you cannot find any other place. So that's the way the World Bank project is. So you want to buy you want to buy a house, you want to become a landlord. Instead of you to start collecting your salary, I'm buying block today, buying tomorrow. I want to take a mortgage. I will really build get a house and then start living and then start paying my mortgage back every month as my salary comes in.
I got you.
So the World Bank money is like an advanced budget to any ministry.
Advanced budget. Okay, I'm writing that down.
That's the way I describe it to our clients. So don't see this money as free money. So instead of government to wait and collect money in form of tax, in form of all this revenue that the government and start giving small. The government has approached the World Bank to give that money up front, so that you will not complain that it is money, lack of money that you don't have. That's why you are not able to do what you are supposed to do. So what is the role of the World Bank there? So once that project will not, so bank will not just give money. You have to work with the bank. The bank set up what they call a tax team, which is led by a tax team leader. The government will put together a team. Usually they call it either a project coordinating unit or a project management unit, whatever name, or PIU, project management unit. They design that project together with the bank team. In that project, it's okay. I'll give you $500. I will do A, B, C, D. These are the things I want to fund with that money that we think we should fund. So it is the government that is saying, okay, to solve this problem of to get money across to our people, like the poor people. We want to target 5 million poor people nationally and give them money. This is the amount we want to give to them every month. How are we going to get these people? Oh, we are going to set up a social register. We are going to develop a social register. How are we going to be able to ensure that people that are on register, they are real people who number one will monitor, will do supervision. Number two, will link them to NIN. Number three, they will provide their account number, their bank account number. So then we can also engage independent monitors. So all those things will be detailed in the project document. So if you click on any project and you click on documents, if you go through it, you will see what they call a project appraisal document. Project appraisal document. That project appraisal document it documents everything that will be done by that project.
Okay.
What activity will be financed? Who are you going to monitor it? What results are you going to use to monitor the achievement of that project?
I hear you.
So there will be a result framework.
I hear you.
That will have a baseline, a target, so that you can monitor it.
Okay, Otumba, I hear you. I completely hear where you're going. I wish we could get our hands on that project document for this season. I wish we could. So we'll go for that's fine.
It's there on the website.
Wait. Yeah.
Click on documents. Any project. So if you go up. You see summary. You see procurement. You see documents. You see news and media. Photo gallery. Those tab.
I'm on documents.
Click on documents.
I'm on documents.
So the first thing you see is if you are looking at the same documents, you see an ICR, Abi, document type, information completion report, Abi.
No.
Are we on the same project?
I see the ICR, correct?
Yes. So this project has closed. Yeah. So when you start a project, when you start
No,
the implementation.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Where I'm going to. I hear you.
ICR. Okay, so if you look, if you scroll down, on that.
What I'm just saying, what I'm just getting to, see what I'm going to, Tumba, see what I'm going to. You know, Nigeria got this money. You know, like you said, it's a lot of money, 1.8 billion, and Nigeria. No, I'm not. I didn't say what Nigeria. The project bill is 1.8 billion. I'm not talking about World Bank.
The plan, sorry, sir. You need to get me very well. You need to get me. The plan for that project was to cost 1.8. Do you understand? And I'll give you an example what happened.
No.
We were managing a project.
I hear you.
Let me just listen to me. I was managing a project in Osun, Elisha Water Project. That project was to be funded by from three sources. The Islamic Development Bank was to provide $6 million. The federal government was to provide $40 million or thereabout. Then the state government was to provide another $40 million. So if that project will be 140, but if you don't get the other part, there's no way you complete that project. If one of the funders did not bring the money, there's no way you can complete that project. But the one that we're going to hold ISDB for Islamic Development Bank for is that $16 million.
No, I don't. Again, I want you to just. We're not nobody's. I applaud you coming here. I applaud you coming. I'm not going to see what I'm saying. We got this project in Nigeria. When we did the project planning and all that, did we not see ab initio that there was not going to be any follow-up mechanism, that we're going to pay cash? You said that it wasn't there, or that it was written there, then we did not do it.
So like I said, in the part you have information arrangements and everything. How that project will be implemented.
So was it there in this? Was it there?
Yes, it will be in the part. Yes.
So the part said that we're going to have the biometrics and all that, but we just didn't do it. Is that what we're agreeing now? That it was there to be done, but it wasn't done.
No, there's no way. There's no way it's not done. They will not use World Bank money to do it.
But it wasn't done.
You can't spend World Bank money outside of that part.
But
that document, just wait for me. You need to understand, please.
No, you keep on saying wait for me. Well, Nigerians, we know it wasn't done. We know that the cash. They are in EFCC. The EFCC has arrested the minister. The former minister is under investigation. The head of the ministry is also arrested. They've recovered money. This is a report. Recovered cash from these people. This is Nigerian newspaper art. So it's not. This is matter that is in public discourse. We're not accusing anybody.
Like I said, my goal here, or whatever we are discussing there, is not for me to come and say I'm defending the project or defending the World Bank or defending government. The goal is for us to understand how the bank works.
Yes, but you need to allow us to ask you questions.
No, but at the same time, I don't want you to put something that is not the fact to say $1.8 billion was the one I was saying.
No,
what I said was that project.
Okay, let's make it. Okay, let's make it 500 million. Let's say it's 500 million. The point I'm driving to is this: when this project was being packaged and the World Bank came in as a partner, wasn't there any discussion on to, hey Nigeria, how are you going to ensure that this money we're giving to you, which you are going to pay back, is going to actually get to these poor people? Where is the risk mitigants to see that these funds will flow? Was it there? If it was there, was it not followed? Then who did the follow-up to say, okay, what are the consequences? Because we're getting more money. We gave 500 million. It failed. We're giving 2.4 billion again.
No. So I think let's be very clear. Like I said, the every project comes as a request from government. The borrower appointing World Bank money is the Ministry of Finance. You understand? So, but the supervision of the projects, then of course every project has what they call the legal documents that binds it, and all this we are talking about, for any project, I'm not talking about only this project alone. For any project, you will find those details in the project documents.
Okay, I hear you.
Project has that.
Okay,
then there's a financing agreement. There's a financing agreement that binds that. So
okay.
The World Bank does supervision. The Ministry of Finance does supervision of the project. The National Assembly, if they are up to their task, also supposed to do their own supervision.
Okay, Otumba. Let's move on to real quick. Let's talk about the specifics of this. The minister's issue saying that when the World Bank gave a loan, 40% was taken back. I don't think that is true. Was taken back by the World Bank as consultancy fees. Let's address that. Lots of people want to speak. I want to get them. People have been waiting to speak. I just want to give you that runway. Let's address what the minister has said, and if possible, I'll touch on Kaduna, but I don't know if we're going to have time. But the Minister of Women Resources is saying that he didn't sign the loan because 40% was to have gone back to the World Bank in terms of fees for consultants and all that. Is that true? How does it work?
Number one, it is not true. That's very true. That is the simplest. It's not true. Then number two, the minister of, like I told you, any minister in the MDA, they are not the one requesting, they are not the borrower. So no minister signs any loan agreement. No minister. The only minister that signs loan agreements is Minister of Finance. And Minister of Finance will not sign until he has gotten what they call a legal opinion from the Honorable Attorney General. So it's only the Minister of Finance that signs a loan agreement. So that cannot be true at all. Then the third is that the World Bank does not. It's like you went to bank to borrow money to buy your house or to build your house instead of waiting for salary and be getting small. And then that's paying 40% back for me. Will anybody do that?
Some people will.
Any money from the World Bank is an advanced money, advanced budget. So that's given that ministry. So it is not possible. It is blatantly untrue. So I know the minister, as I can say, the minister couldn't have said that because she doesn't sign, and then the bank doesn't touch the loan that the government gives. 1 naira of that loan does not go to the bank because the bank also uses its own money. Just like you expect your UBA, your Post Bank, to pay his staff. Do you understand? So the minister was essentially saying something that was not true. What was said to be told? What was quoted to be
not quoted, video.
Was not true.
Video, not it wasn't a quote. I watched her say it. Video. She said it on video.
Yeah, but I did the video. That's why I said it's not possible.
Okay, no. All right.
It was not true.
Okay, Otumba, hang in here, Otumba. Let me get some few guys to speak that have been waiting patiently, so that maybe they can ask questions and they can come back. So, guys, again, if you want to speak, do a DM or request to speak. I will add you. Let's get to Troy. You've been here for a while and hanging on. Go ahead. Just to you. Did I get that right? Just to you. Go ahead.
Yeah. You got that right.
Yeah.
I thought the questions were pretty straightforward. It was kind of a little bit challenging to maybe get an answer from what we're talking about. But just on what the minister said in terms of maybe 40%, up to 40% going back to the World Bank, I think what is very clear is that, at least what people may not understand, is that in order to get the World Bank loans, or to even in any capacity to get them, especially when you look at a particular docket that says consultancy required and it says yes, there's a lot of quote-unquote partner companies or partner firms or partner consultancy firms that actually do support the Nigerian government in attracting these loans. And generally, their fees are quite high. Now, the discrepancy here is that quite a lot of the government officials, it's optional to use these consulting firms. So that's the part that is a little bit, maybe challenging, that a lot of these government officials do not know. And a lot of them come in to something that may have been in the works for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
These loans that get approved today, there is dozens of documents that go into preparation months and months in advance before we actually get to the final documents. So some of them are hundreds of pages long, and they're divided between people. So sometimes there's a lot of work that gets done before these things actually get to a point where it looks straightforward and it's time to approve.
So do you think it's possible that the consultants that got the loan, i.e. for the government, are the ones that are being paid these fees, and the minister is conflicting that with the World Bank itself?
I think there's a possibility that that's the case, but I also think that what makes it I think it's a little bit confusing for all. It's not really clear if the consultants are World Bank consultants, or it's not really clear if they're private consultants. But this is a little bit of a free for all, and there's a special skill in grant writing, there's a special skill in loan writing. There's skills and just domain knowledge and domain expertise and all these things that may kind of just elude the general public because they see this big amount and they think that that's all it's about. Now, I'm not saying that this is a good thing or it's not a good thing, but this is just the fact of what the matter is. And a lot of times it's quite hard to go to the very source of where these things may come from. So when the minister says something like that, it means that maybe they themselves can't even verify or be clear exactly where this thing will go to, and it might not make sense for them. I think if you're a minister and if you're some sort of power or authority, and someone's giving you a loan and you've got to pay back, or you're going to lose 40% of it, it's not really worth your while.
Doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Anyone who understands basic economics knows that 40% is just a big no. Anything over 10% is kind of like you have to really like cross your T's and dot your I's properly. But 40%, it's an obvious no. Anyone who says yes, really,
it's corruption. Call it what it is. It's corruption. If anyone is asking you to give 40% for a loan, it's corruption. There's no loan per se. You can't work with 60%. No.
I'm not even sure it's corruption. I just don't think that they have any skin in the game.
It's corruption, my brother. If you want to build a house and then your architect or government tells you, give me 40% from the contract to build a house, you can't build a house with 60%. So it's obvious the house will not be built. That's the whole. Don't you get it? 40% means the house will not be built.
I'm not disputing that. What I'm saying is that whoever's asking for 40% has no skin in the game.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right? That's their prerogative, but the loan does not need to be accepted if it's going to be 40% less. That's just the first. But I think where I might have some disagreements with the comments is that it might not necessarily be directly from World Bank itself. I think that World Bank should perhaps do some investigation to figure out, are these people claiming to be World Bank employees, or just to make sure that there's...
And to be clear, right? To be clear, I looked at the entire World Bank subset, maybe like 4 or 5 pages, and there are like 10 on each page. I did not find any loan with any fees in excess of even 10%. I didn't see anyone. So yeah.
If you attend the World Bank conferences, you realize that there's probably more consultants than there's loans to be given out. And when you have a lot of middlemen, that's usually room for not marginal error. There's usually room for a lot of creativity and a lot of error. So that's generally what we're seeing. I think that. I actually think that this particular government have done an excellent job. I think it's very ridiculous that I'm here defending that, but they've done an excellent job of not just taking loans at face value because it might not make sense, because they understand that we have to pay a lot of this back, and so a lot of times it doesn't make sense. This is just one of many loans. There's a lot of loans that are available to governors, and a lot of the governors are slowly and coming to terms that they don't need to accept these loans because the terms just aren't favorable and they have to pay it back. I think that's a good thing for Nigeria, and long may it last.
All right, super. Let's get T-Bird to your thanks. T-Bird, what's up?
Sorry, sir, Mr. Kalu. So that we don't carry very wrong impression. I think the purpose why some of us are here is to provide information, and we can then use that information as activism to do the right thing. We are not here to defend the World Bank or defend government, but we are providing information. Please note categorically, I've been involved in preparing several projects, not just here in Nigeria. There's no middleman when it comes to getting the World Bank projects, credit or loan. The government, the Minister of Finance of any country, they will make that request. They don't need anybody. You are not right. We are not right. It's not a proposal. You are trying to win it.
But are you saying, so who writes this 10 paper? Consultants write it. I know for a fact consultants write federal government proposal to the World Bank. I know for a fact. Who writes it? Civil servants? Who writes it? I say I know for a fact. I know who that writes World Bank paper. I know them.
Mr. Can you listen to me? I'm saying this for everybody to hear. Yeah? When a government make a request for World Bank to support a particular project and the amount is stated, the World Bank put a team together. Government put a team together. Both of them working together. Government, civil servants. They are the one that arrive with that project.
Otumba.
You go on any project,
Otumba. I personally know people that write World Bank consultancy project for the federal government of Nigeria. If you want on DM, I'll give you his name. So I'm not sure. What are you talking about now?
I'm saying, I'm saying for
You are right,
everybody.
but what he's saying is that what he was trying to say was that perhaps the minister is conflating those private contractors that write the proposals. They are private contractors that write it.
I'm saying to you, when you come to World Bank project, I'm saying this on my honor.
Are
I'm
you saying
this
the civil servants write this project I'm looking at on the screen is written by Nigerian civil servants?
World Bank colleague,
Yes,
with
but
World Bank
but
colleague,
Nigerian
yes.
civil servants, okay, no problem.
With working with World Bank colleague, yes, I'm saying that to you, 100%,
Okay.
100%, no iota of doubt.
All right.
World Bank colleague, they put together, they write that project, that document is called the project appraisal document. If you go on the website, you see for any new project, go and check project appraisal document. That document is a joint effort between the government and the World Bank. There's no any intermediary, and there's no way you can factor every money every money of that project is linked to particular activities. You cannot say you are taking money to pay consultants.
Otumba, there are grant. Otumba, even in America, there are grant writers. Even in America, there are people that write grants.
This is not grants.
It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. There are people that do this for a profession.
I'm telling you for World Bank.
It doesn't. Otumba, I don't want us to argue. There are people that this is what they do for a profession. They take these guidelines written by the World Bank and they write it for you. Then the government presents. This is a professional people do.
So let me. It's because we didn't go through.
It's not because we didn't go through anything, okay?
Let please. The reason why we are here. Otherwise, there's no point who will be here and will not. And I feel one or two of my colleagues also on the call. So reason why we are here is to provide information. Then as
Otumba, the reason why we're here is for you to get feedback. Everyone has to feed back to you.
We are saying to you.
Okay.
I'm saying to you.
Okay, hold on.
I'm saying to you.
Okay, I want you to hold on. Okay, I want you to hold on. Just hold on. Let others speak. We'll come back to you. Take down this note. I'm trying to keep it, so I will not put you on the spot. I'm not here to attack. If I want to attack World Bank, I wouldn't call you. We can do that on our own. We can call them IMF and the monster and close down the space. We want to get information. There are almost 300 people on this page. This page will be recorded. It will be shared. We have to be responsible so that people can get information and live here. So we want to learn. Okay, let me get T-Bird. T-Bird, go ahead.
Hi there. Thanks for having me. I'm in Canada, and I want to follow some of you, but I'm obviously limited because I'm very politically outspoken for Canada. T.O., I love the World Bank really doing in Nigeria. It out of all the spaces today, and watching you, Kalu, you hold space, you're very calm. I am very interested in learning more about this in a calm manner. I know that the World Bank is hosted in America. Like I said, I'm in Canada, but we're watching a collapse of our economy, and I want to learn from you guys, like, what is happening? Are they hiding the money in Nigeria? You guys are very, very smart. I want to learn from you. I want to follow you. We are being told they will take our homes. We're not allowed to have cottages. We know that the World Bank is in Washington, D.C., which is not part of America, which is interesting, right? It's not part of anything. It's its own entity. Do you think because all the banks are collapsing in America and in Canada, no one can get into their banks, they're losing their money?
Which Canada are you talking about? The banks are okay in Canada and America and all that. I hear where you're coming from, but the banks are okay. Yeah, the banks are.
They're not, because I have friends in America met on the spaces where their banks are actually just shutting down and they can't access their money.
That was last week. That was, I think, that was just because of the IT outage. So, like all the banks, I think from Wednesday till Saturday, most banks or most ATMs, that was just an IT outage caused by the CrowdStrike. Apart from that, the banks are fully capitalized. They are all stress tested. I mean, if Chase fails, then the world has failed, right? So, American banks are safe. They will now have an implicit guarantee from the Fed, not just your FDIC, across the board that says if a bank is going to fail, the Feds will come in and save that bank. What we're worried about is perhaps the dollar. You know, how strong will the dollar be if you compare that to, say, the yuan, or even with Mr. Trump saying crypto. But what's the alternative? Without the dollar, where do you go to? Are you going to go to euros? It's the same thing. You can't go to yuan. That's communist China. So the dollar has an advantage, and it's going to allow the economy of the U.S. to basically subsist for a longer time. Now, I want to put DC is just a district of Columbia, but it's still within America. It still has all the laws of America. If you have a bank in DC, you have to still follow federal laws. So I would say for now, America is still safe. I understand your Canadian issues with you guys have an election coming up, and maybe the guys are fighting the right wing, left wing, blah, blah, blah. But overall, the Western financial system still looks okay. Inflation is coming down, so I wouldn't get too worried about that. Yeah, that's how I'll put it.
And one thing I want to share is gold and silver. And I have a lot of Chinese friends. I tried to buy gold and silver. I did 2 years ago. I'm vaccine injured, obviously, I'm disabled. And so I've been home enough to actually pay attention. And I went back to try and buy more gold and silver recently. And they told me, my friends actually, because I couldn't get it from the banks for the first time. I paid for it and they couldn't get it for me. I waited 3 months and they said, we'll just give you your money back. This is real. This is my own experience here in Canada. And one of my Chinese friends, I told them, and they said, no, Canada sold all their gold and silver to China 3 years ago. We sold 85, not all, 85% of gold and silver from Canada was sold to China 3 years ago. That's interesting to me. And also, and he told me if you have any silver right now, silver's going to go through the roof. So do not sell it because it's going to take over the American dollar. Thank you for listening. I'd love to listen more to you. You guys are amazing.
Yeah, hang in there. Yeah, just to give clarity, China is buying a lot of gold because they want to insulate their dollar reserves away from dollars into commodities. I know UK sold all its gold reserves. It's called monetary theory, modern monetary theory. You don't need reserve. You don't need gold if you can print money. So they sold all their gold a long time ago. I don't know who it was to maybe China also, but yes, there's some truth to what you're saying. But it's just central banks rebalancing portfolios. If you have gold and silver, it's a commodity. So the idea is that it hedges against the fall in fiat currency. It's something you want to do. Remember, it pays no dividends. Holding metal pays no dividends. Holding currency, you can put in the bank and earn a return. So it's your call on what you want to do. David, go ahead. Thanks, Tibet. David, go ahead. David, you got the floor. Okay, David isn't ready yet. Let's go to Imagine. What's the guy? Imagine Alake Bulan. Did I say that right? Imagine, you've got the floor. Go ahead.
It's Emerging Alkebulan. Alkebulan means mother of mankind.
Alkebulan.
That's what that means. That's right. African name. Alkebulan.
All right. Is that Alkebulan like Igbo? Alkebulan?
No, Alkebulan it means mother of mankind.
What language is that?
It's the original name of Africa before we started using Africa.
I know. What tribe is that?
I don't know what tribe it is, but something that we've used before the colonial system came to the continent.
All right, go for it, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, just listen to you guys talk. What's the World Bank really doing in Nigeria? We need to understand that World Bank is basically a neo-colonial system put into the system to basically continue to enslave Africans. So for us talking about this, I'm just laughing to all of you guys talking. Basically, what we're doing is endorsing neo-colonialism in Africa. We're basically describing a system that keeping them enslaved. What we Africans should be doing is to wake up to the fact that the IMF, the World Bank, is there to keep us docile, to keep us in perpetual slavery. We need to do away with all these systems. For us talking about this, I think it's an alternative for Africa. I'm just laughing. Africans need to wake up, man.
What you suggest?
Every instrument of the colonial system should not be used in Africa anymore. That's why we are where we are. So the World Bank loans are built into the system. So basically, once they give you the loan, they know we're not going to pay it back. There's corruption built into the system.
Yeah.
So they know that you're not going to pay it back. So what they do is they have tentacles. They got mud over you. They keep luring you in. And they continue to stay in, so they don't know where to go. So basically, consequently, your resources is what they're targeting. They don't want to go nowhere. That's all I have to say.
All right, no worries. Let's get David. Thanks for that comment, Imagine. I appreciate that. That was other spectrum side of it. David, you've got the floor. David is still not ready to take him off. Otumba, I'm not sure if you want to come back in. There were no direct comments back to you, but Otumba, one thing I wanted us to talk about was we didn't really talk much about the history of the World Bank and how the World Bank has in the past developed Nigeria. You know, when I first started off, I posted the picture of the World Bank doing projects in Gongola back then, doing wharf in Lagos. You look at the page, the archive, you see them build their locomotives, everything. So if we go back to your initial point where you said that the country is the one that determines what it wants from the World Bank and the other development institutions, is that the Nigerian government has over the years taken its foot off the infrastructure track and is now asking more of this softer, should we say, developmental projects? What's your take on that? Otuma, did you hear me?
Yes, I can. I hear you. So I think, like I said before, there's a document that guides the bank operation in a country at any point in time, and the World Bank does not have any agenda. The World Bank doesn't have to. You don't dictate on the country that this is what you should do at this time. If you understand that for every project, that a request has to come to the bank to say, okay, I want to borrow money. I will have used my money to do this thing, but I don't have. I can't wait to start collecting my money in bits and pieces every month. Can you put this money off front so that I can solve this problem? So if you understand that from that perspective, that's what the World Bank funds in Nigeria is a request from government, not what the World Bank like. Do you understand that perspective?
Yep.
So if government say, okay, for my dams, for my power projects, I think I have money to do that. But what I need money to do is to ensure that there are meter connection for power, for example. So World Bank, please, can you borrow me this money? And once that's within that framework, that CPF, the bank and the government work together, and then they develop a project around that together. So there's no agenda from the World Bank. I think that's is something that's very clear. And World Bank, World Bank is not just the only development finance institution or multilateral development bank. We also have Islamic Development Bank. We also have African Development Bank. Do you know today that African Development Bank, Nigeria is largest shareholder for African Development Bank? And Nigeria, there are some of these projects are funded by African Development Bank, and they are also loans. They are not grants because they are banks. They are development banks.
Mm.
Nigeria is the fourth largest shareholder in Islamic Development Bank, even ahead of most of some Islamic countries.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So and they also give loan. So the idea of all these development banks is that okay, instead of you waiting to get to where you will start collecting resources, collecting your revenue, once you have a project, a development talent that you want to solve, you approach the development bank because their terms is the most favorable. If Nigeria were to go to international markets to go and borrow, the rate at which you will get it.
Concessionary.
What you get from the world.
Yeah.
You can't be compared to what you get the World Bank from even the IBRD.
But what's your sense? But what's your sense? Why are we not asking for more infrastructure projects? Because even if you look at the project list we have here, very, very little infrastructure projects that we're asking for.
Well, I think we will ask the Minister of Finance too. So the way it happens that so for the IDA, the one that's for the developing country, they do replenishments, and this is very good. They do replenishments every 3 years. Replenishment is when all the donor countries, so developed countries, they come and donate money. They provide resources. So, okay, take this money and use it to borrow it to developing country at this reduced terms, this reduced rates, and this very condition. So they do that replenishment every 3 years. And once you do that replenishment, they will not allocate it to the countries that are eligible for it. So maybe for Nigeria now, the last one that the last IDA replenishment was $96 billion, and that will be shared across all the countries eligible for IDA. So let Nigeria get $3 billion as allocated to Nigeria. Finance knows that he has $3 billion. Finance minister will not be the one to know, okay, I have this $3 billion. So which projects, which area of the economy do I want to use money for? Do you understand?
So it has to come.
AFGD too.
Okay.
It comes from government. So one of the things that you test us that in National Development Bank, do you know Nigeria has a special fund that Nigeria itself created so that other poor countries can borrow money from it.
When we're big boys, the Nigerian Development Fund in the ADB. Yeah.
So Nigeria, the ADB is also like a three institution in one. So one of the institutions is Nigerian fund. So all these worries that we want to help countries to accelerate their development, but instead of them to wait and start collecting revenue small, no nation do without debts. I mean, or let's say most nations incur debts for their development. But you must not take a loan from with when the terms are very punitive. But when you get loans at concessionary rates, long term, and then the rate is not much. It's better for you than to go and take something at 10% or at 8%.
Commercial rates, gotcha. Okay, super. I got that. So it's more or less like what I hear you saying is this: like we have to know the available loans, then tie those loans into available projects and be proactive in requesting for those loans because they are there. But we have to reach out for them and sort of apply for. That's what I hear you saying.
So it's government that determines what they will use that money for.
What it means.
So when the big boys donate during the replenishment, and then the money is available, they allocate to different countries. This is the maximum you can get from this over this period, over this 3-year cycle. And then the government of that country or each country has to have what priority areas in line with their country partnership framework that they want to put that money to use for.
Gotcha. So, follow-up question on that. So, in terms of just Nigeria, I looked, we don't really have for now a national development plan. Like, I know we just got the ASAP, the intervention, the one I want to use to import food, grow agriculture in the next maybe 2 to 4 months and all that. Sorry, 2 years maximum, all that. Does the lack of a plan like the 2020 or the development plan, the long-term development plan, does that have an effect on our ability to access these loans? What I'm asking is, if you go on the archives of Nigeria and the World Bank, you'll see where the World Bank took Nigeria's development project, the 6-year development plan. The World Bank took that plan and then wrote on top of it their support towards that plan. So Nigeria said we want to have a 6-year plan to grow GDP by 4%, to grow exports, because in 1962 we were importing more than we were exporting. So Nigeria's plan then was to grow exports, was to grow GDP by 4%. The World Bank took that plan, then wrote their own development agenda on that plan to say, hey, we're going to support them in agriculture, we're going to support them in this, we're going to support them in that. So the question is this lack of a long-term plan, is it affecting our ability for institutional donors to look at Nigeria and say this is where they need support and this is where we can come in without waiting for us to go? Like I'm saying, will that help? So that even if we don't go, someone can come to us and say, hey guys, you want to build a port, we can help you. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think Nigeria, what I've noticed about our country, we are very good at developing plans, developing documents, but implementation has always been an issue. So Nigeria has never lacked a long-term development plan. So before you might have a vision 2030. Now, if you just check now, there's a Nigeria agenda 2050. So we always have a long-term development plan. Always. We've never lacked any one of those ones. There was a time we are doing needs seats. So we always plan ahead. but implementing and staying close to it is always a challenge. But for the World Bank cannot say we are right, we are going to support the country based on this particular development plan. What guides the bank in intervention in any country is the country partnership framework or country partnership strategy. That's always really that. And that strategy is or framework is done every 5 years. Also, but before you do that partnership framework, you have done what we call a systematic country diagnosis. So by that time, you have considered all the long-term plan. This is where we want to get to. What are the encumbrance? What are the challenges that the country is facing? And then of course review the last partnership framework that has just ended. Learn from it, and then also do that SCD before you now develop the country partnership framework. Almost all the bank support for any country has to align with what they have agreed with the country. Do you understand? So the long-term agenda fits into that country partnership framework. So the bank will not go outside of that country partnership framework to support the country.
Okay, gotcha. Let me get Cliff. Cliff might have a question. Cliff, go ahead, Cliff. Otumba is here. He's not representing World Bank per se, but giving us like a good framework of how they operate, showing us what we're doing right, what we should do right. What's your take? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, Carlo. I think I like the way you've navigated the whole discussion. But I keep hearing the same thing, what Otumba has been saying all the while. My own concern or my question is, that framework that he's talking about, does it contain some level of post-mortem analysis? For example, you mentioned the fact that maybe a country comes up with a specific project that they want to address. In this case, I want to use poverty rate as an example. And I'm asking myself, since time immemorial, when World Bank started funding, Nigeria to be able to reduce its poverty rate, that poverty rate has been on the surge for as long as I know. So if the government goes back and says, I still need funds to tackle poverty, who comes up to say, let us do a post-mortem of how the previous funds that we've invested in this to reduce poverty in this nation has fared over a period of time. And if we see that these funds are not being utilized to carry out this objective, how is it treated? Because if you look at the credit process, the normal credit process, the creditor is always very responsible with the funds available to them for lending. They don't just, give any obligor those funds. They make sure that they profile you, that you're qualified, that you have the character to be able to, utilize those funds effectively. And even when they disburse these funds to you, they also monitor the implementation of what you say you're using these funds for. So if we have been tackling poverty with the funds we're getting from World Bank for many years, and the poverty rate is on the increase, why is that framework not allowing the World Bank to do a post-mortem analysis?
That's a good Otumba. I think there's a DM exactly to that question. Somebody is asking. Let me just read the question because it ties into what he's asking. What Cliff is asking? He's asking, can we ask about KPIs around number of projects borrowed, delivered, payments in the last 10 years? So I think it's almost the same question, i.e., what is the post-disbursement responsibility? Is anyone doing the cleanup to say, hey, this worked, this didn't work? Just if you can talk on that, that would be wonderful, sir.
Okay, thank you. So remember I said that the overall goal of the bank or the mission of the bank is to eradicate extreme poverty and also boost shared prosperity. So we are talking about poverty. The causes of poverty are multidimensional in terms of maybe lack of education, not having good health, can put somebody into poverty, non availability of power, so that jobs can be created for people that are already educated. So all manner of things. So almost all these projects are geared towards working towards that one. But while you are doing that, there are specific units. There's a specific units that or specific sector, not just wind bank sector, that this with how do you provide an immediate relief to poor people? That's social protection. So that's where this issue of safety nets comes in. So every project that the bank is supporting is in line with the one goal of reducing poverty, because that's what the government is doing. So, like I think the way to understand to picture the World Bank, we don't see World Bank as one institution alone that is trying to do this. The World Bank is providing finances along with, of course, technical support, the technical knowledge to governments to be able to solve its own problem. So governments identify area they need to bank finances for, in addition to its own budgets. For a country like Nigeria, maybe the World Bank support might be substantial, but if you look at in the overall budget that the government spends, is kind of is very small. So if we actually spend all this money, whether we borrow the money or with money that the government raised internally, domestically, on its own resources, if you use this money very well, of course we are going to see an improvement. But for the World Bank, for every World Bank project, there's, like I said, there's always a team from the bank that supervises. The implementation is done by the government. So remember when I said World Bank projects like giving an advanced budget. So if you are a Ministry of Water Resources, for example, and you want to do dams or do water recirculation, for example, I will say, okay, government, I can do it, but can I borrow money from the World Bank so I can quickly do it fast? That money is like given to Ministry of Water Resources as advanced money to do what they are supposed to do on their own, not normally with government money. So the implementation is by governments, but supervision is by the World Bank. So by the World Bank and Ministry of Finance, because finance is the real power. During implementation, the World Bank does what they call a supervision. They do supervision mission. They go to the field to check and everything, and they write a report, what we call it memoir. And then this report of this memoir is not only shared with the project team or the ministry implementing, is sent to the Minister of Finance. So this is the status of this project. Then if you go on the website, if you check the documents, you see what they call, you see disclosable version of the implementation support report, ISR. The ISR disclosable version. So it gives you how much of the project has been disbursed, what has been done, what has been achieved, what are the challenges. So during implementation, the bank supervises, Minister of Finance supervises the implementation. And in the bank, one thing we always say in the bank, World Bank money is not money that you can steal. If once you are caught, the government itself will be made to refund that money to the World Bank. We always have the World Bank and use $10,000 to look for $1 that is missing, because part of the judicial responsibility of the bank is that the client must use the money for the purpose that is intended. Once the bank finds that during the judicial review that the money has been misused, they declare that expenditure as what we call ineligible expenditure. Once the ineligible expenditure is clear, the Minister of Finance is tasked to refund that money. They refund that money back to the World Bank. And people, individuals, organizations can be bad. They can recommend to the EFCC, but the World Bank will not be the one to take to EFCC, because that's government. It's government money that they stole. So government will be the one to punish the people that stole the money, that have the money.
Yeah, I'll talk about. But I think if I may get more precise, they're really asking that is there any post disbursement mechanism from by the World Bank? Like if Nigeria, if we have a project to build a bridge, and the government requests for money to build the bridge, and the government does not build that bridge, what happens?
So if the government does not, so every project by the time after running implementation, so that is supervision, you are monitoring the project. You don't wait until after the project has ended before you do correct. So we monitor the project from the implementation phase. So they work hand in hand. So there are three. Okay, maybe that's a good point to talk about. The three financing instrument that the World Bank use. There's what we call the IPF, the investment project financing. So if you collect $500 million from the World Bank, even if you're an IPF said you tell me, so it funds inputs. So you tell me, okay, I want to improve education, for example, learning outcome. That's what you want to improve on education. So if with this money I'm borrowing from you, I'm going to build schools. I'm going to procure education materials. I'm going to employ teachers. If I do that, definitely learning outcome will improve. So that's like the learning outcome might not improve. So the bank now has another instrument called a program for results, and that because the Kaduna story. So the program for results is, government is saying you want to improve learning outcome. If learning outcome was maybe percentage of your student of children under 18 that can learn, that can read and write, maybe let's say 20% at baseline. Now we want to increase to 40%. So for a program for results, we'll say, okay, spend your resources. If for every 1% for percentage increase, I will pay you $1 million. You get $1 million for it. So use your resources to ensure that you get the results before you get disbursements. So that's the program for results. So the monitoring of the performance of the project is built into every project. So you don't wait until the end. But even after the end of the project, that's what we call. So you have to do an implementation completion report where we review what did we set up to achieve, what did we achieve, what lessons can we learn from this. So that we can use that one for subsequent projects.
I mean, I hear you. I hear you, Tumba. I completely hear you. It's just, again, it goes back to these things that were funded. I wish the government could go back to when the World Bank was funding infrastructure, because to me that's easier to track. We don't need a project monitoring team to know if a bridge was built over the River Gongola. It's there. If it's not built, we know it's not built, and then the World Bank can ask the officials, where's the bridge? And they can say, well. But when you are funding esoteric, I'm sorry if I use the word esoteric, when you're funding those kind of projects, it's difficult to really, if you say you are giving money to poor people, I can bring 1,000 poor people and give you that I give money to, but there are 10,000 that did not get the money. So I'm going back to this social security welfare scheme that we just didn't really do a good job there. But since you brought up Kaduna, before I go ahead, let me ask you a question before I forget. Someone's asking me a question on DM. He says, number one, if I have a project that I want to do and the investor requires a World Bank guarantee, who goes to the World Bank? Is it the promoter or the investor? Who gets the guarantee? And is that program available in Nigeria? I know you touched on that when you spoke about the departments, but is that available in Nigeria? If I get an investor, I want to build an oil palm plantation in Abia State. The investor says, I want you to give me the World Bank guarantee. Do I go to the World Bank or does the investor go to the World Bank? If you could answer that, that would be beautiful.
Okay, so like I said, the World Bank deals with public sector. We deal with government alone. So if you're not government, if you're not Minister of Finance, you cannot go to the World Bank. But there's IFC. There's the IFC component of the World Bank group that deal with private sector. So they are the ones that they can talk about support for non-government entities. So IFC and MIGA, Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency. But IFC will be the point of contact, and It could be the private sector, by the organization or the person or the firm itself that will put IFC and see whether it falls within what they can do and what they can do. Because if you get an IFC will definitely be by far cheaper from what you get from the commercial.
So the promoter should go, not the guy. The promoter is the one that would go to the IFC, or the who would go. Just to be clear.
No, I think either of both of them.
Okay.
Both of them can go.
Okay.
It's just for them to be able to see whether it's what IFC can fund or whether they bring maker in, whatever. But in Nigeria, we only have IFC. We don't have maker office in Nigeria.
Okay. And also, just since you brought the Kaduna thing, the Kaduna thing was a bit confusing to me. So Kaduna was more like an impact bond, like a play for play, where you do something, then the government pays you. Is that correct? Could you just explain what happened in Kaduna and why is there such an uproar? Was that a loan, or was it that they had to do it, then they had to just give us the schematics? What happened in Kaduna?
So I will not to speak specifically what happened, but I can talk about the principle around the project, so that we don't get ourselves involved in things that might be controversial. So, like I said, there is another financing instrument that the bank has that's called a program for results. For a program for results, during the preparation, what we are saying to the World Bank that I want to borrow money from you. By the way, no state government can go to the bank directly. They still have to go through Minister of Finance. Remember, I said the person that has the money that will get to Nigeria that can be borrowed is the Minister of Finance. The Minister of Finance that has that money. It's the one that will allocate that resources for either to any MDA or to any state government. So everybody still has to go through the Minister of Finance. So we cannot say, okay, Minister, I want to borrow money from the World Bank. Please, can you let me borrow money from the World Bank? Okay, what do you want to do? What do you want to do with the money? I want to make sure I improve my economy, increase my ITR, make sure that land is available, people have access to land. I want to make sure that the IRS is strengthened, all that kind of stuff. So they are not like the PTs that you can say you can go and count before and everything. So the bank is okay. Yes, I will borrow you. I will borrow you this money, but I want to before I can give you before I disburse this money. So the total amount I will borrow you, let's say is $300 million. I want to borrow you, but I will not give you this money once. I will give you this money when you achieve a particular result. Let's say, for example, you want to make CO4 available within 90 days of people applying. So that might be a disbursement linked indicator. So maybe at baseline, it's taking like 2 years or 3 years for people to get their CO4. But now you want to make sure that people get within 90 days. So the target is 90 days. So if you are able to achieve giving CO4 within 90 days, then you will get $20 million of the money that you want to borrow. So for a program for results, you agree on the results that you are looking for. You set the indicator for that result. Once you have that indicator, you put what's the baseline? What is it before the project starts? What is it? What is the result you want to get? Once you get that result, you get the money is disbursed to you. So that's what it's called a disbursement linked indicator. So if you look at that Kaduna project, for example, it has several disbursement indicators. Once you achieve a particular indicator, you get money for it. You get money allocated for it. So that's a program for results. And there are quite a number of it. It was started about maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. So in Nigeria we have ABESDA for basic education. That was talking about looking at out of school student youth. So for every child you take from the streets and you put in school, and that child is staying in school, there's a particular amount of money that you get that you cannot put back in strengthening the education system for that state.
So was a loan taken, or
it's loan?
They took a just to understand. So Kaduna took a loan. then when they performed, they got more money, or how does it work?
No. So that loan will only be disbursed if you perform.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So it was like it's approved to like a custodian, and then when you perform, custodian releases the funds.
No. The money is still with the so once you get a project like the World Bank will fund, the World Bank, so that investment agency, whether if it's a state now or federal entity, they will open an account in CBN, they open a US dollar account, and they open a Naira account. So for example now, if you perform that, you have achieved a result. Okay, I've cut down still of whole issuance to 90 days. And the bank, for a program for results, one of the things that's also put in place, talking about supervision, there's also another additional layer for program for results. They also hire what they call independent verification agency, an IVA. So those agents, independent verification agents, they will be the one to go and verify that the result they say they have achieved. Because when they have achieved that result, they will communicate to the World Bank, oh, we have achieved this result.
Okay.
The IVA will also go and check that they have achieved it before they can process disbursement for that particular result.
All right, gotcha.
So from the loan that they borrowed, that envelope, okay, I earmarked $300 for you, but I will only release this money for you when you achieve the result that you have agreed together. Both cannot say government and the bank team.
Makes sense. Let me get a few questions to you, Otumba. Mr. Bese, you've got the floor.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Uncle Carlo. Hope your weekend is going well.
Yes, it is. Go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. I was made to understand by someone that the first World Bank loan that we got was to build Kainji Dam. Now,
that was the first loan Nigeria got. I think it was the first.
Yes.
Kainji Dam was from Italy, but this one was 1958, before Nigeria was even created. Yes, sir. Just to give some. Yeah, before Nigeria was created, 1958, we got that loan, backed by the British government. So Kainji was after Nigeria was then formed. But I think the Papa Wharf was the first one. Then, yeah, go ahead, sir.
Okay. Okay. So the first loan we got for a project was for a Papa Wharf or something.
From the World Bank. For Nigeria, yes. The first World Bank loan was the Papa Wharf. The first loan was the railway to Borno, before Nigeria was created in 1958. But I think the first private loan was the Kainji Dam loan that was given by the Italians to the government back then. Yeah.
Thanks so much for the clarification. Yes. I think it sort of segues into something you were talking about, loans for infrastructure. Because, Uncle Carlo, you know that there's a lot of skepticism when it comes to multilaterals giving loans to, some certain countries. And there's this kind of demonization, or should I say, bad press. Now, talking about that, my first question is, I have two questions. My first question is, in the past decade, from 2024 backwards, what's the most successful World Bank project, or what's the most successful project that has been backed by the World Bank in Nigeria, and by what metrics and milestones were they used to be judged? That's the first question.
Let him answer that, if you don't mind. That's a very, very good question too. I don't know if Otumba, do you?
No, so like I said, I'm not here to speak on the World Bank. The goal for me also speaking on this space is for us to understand how the World Bank work, and if you understand that the World Bank is only providing resources to government based on request, instead of government going to international markets to go and borrow money at exorbitant price rates and terms, they have an organization they can approach who can lend the government money for whatever developmental issues they have.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you understand that, that's the road. World Bank does not have an agenda. World Bank does not control economic sector. World Bank does not. They are not the one implementing. It is the government. They are financing government programs. So the question we should be asking ourselves: what sector? What has the government has achieved, whether with borrowed money or with our domestic resources? What is the most successful thing that we want to point at as government? That's the question we should be asking.
So, Otumba, let me paraphrase. So, people are trying to find out from you, right, that, okay, what has the World Bank support? Like, I could point to the Gongola Bridge. It's built. It's there. That was the World Bank and federal government project. It's built. So, they were asking in the most recent seminar, what can the World Bank point to and say, just like Gongola Bridge, and say, we help women here, or that's what they're really asking for. I don't know if you can't answer it, that's fine. Like Vance, he's not a government. He's not.
Yeah, I think that would be best answered by the bank.
Gotcha.
Appropriately.
All right, Vance, your next question.
If I can mention a project, for example, Nigeria was declared polio free in 2020. Is it 2021 or 2020?
Wasn't that by our big brother, Mr. Bill Gates?
No, not at all. Nigeria was declared polio free. So the World Bank has been providing money. So the government had approved World Bank to borrow money. Remember, government has priorities they want to achieve. They want to achieve, and then they need money to do it. The money they have in-house might not be enough, so they have to work back. Please, can you borrow us money? So one of the projects, one of the key areas that government has borrowed money significantly from the World Bank for was eradication of polio in Nigeria. Through the polio eradication support projects, the World Bank has been supporting Nigeria from 2006 or thereabouts. I can't remember because I can't remember specifically. But that project was procuring polio vaccine, was procuring routine relation vaccines. So those vaccines that people get freely when they go to public hospitals, is being procured through by somebody. Most of the time, most of those vaccines that you see there, they are gotten from government. Government was not buying it, but government was buying it with its own resources or borrowing from the World Bank. And of course, Gavi also provides vaccines to the country, but the country has to pay part of the co-financing.
Just to be clear, someone is asking me to ask you. Someone's asking me to ask you. I'm not interrupting you. Someone is saying that Bill Gates did not fund. He's saying Bill Gates funded polio. So
there are several partners. So there's what they call the Global Polio Eradication Initiative. There are key partners involved in the global. There are key donors. Key partners involved. Rather, it's the Global Partnership for Eradication of Polio. It's GPI. So there are key partners: WHO, Gates Foundation, UNICEF, Rotary International, and others. So, but they are funders. They are funders. The money that WHO or UNICEF, for example, whatever money that they are spending will come from a donor, from either a donor government or a financial institution. So it can come from the bank, can come from the Gates Foundation, can come from UK Agency for Development, can come from USAID, all those kind of stuff. So Bill Gates is one of the partners, but Nigeria as a government invested heavily in that, and that government investment also includes the funding they borrow from the World Bank. Do you understand? So the World Bank resources, if you want to count government investment, you also count government. World Bank is a part of government because it is borrow money. Remember, it's borrow money. Instead of waiting for government to get so much in trickles, they went ahead to approach a multilateral bank, my African Bank.
Okay.
It's
no problem.
Can be World Bank.
Gotcha.
You understand? So, government with World Bank support funded a major part of it, more than $600 million.
Okay. Don't forget, he has a second question. Since we're not going to answer the first one, let him ask the second question. he has a second question, so I don't want to cut him short. Yeah, Pastor, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Uncle Carlo. Yes, I'll ask my second question, then Uncle Carlo, I'll ask you my question too. Now, we have a problem of profligacy in our parts. That much is very, very clear. There's no need for me to expand on that. Now, is there a mechanism that the World Bank has to ensure that profligacy doesn't impede on successful project delivery? That's my question. Then, Uncle Carlo, my question to you is, what's the obligation, what's Nigeria's yearly obligation to the World Bank in terms of, contributions and all that? Thank you.
I can do the second one. Otumba can take the one you asked him. So the best way to get the Nigerian payments is just go to the debt management office. They do an annual report. Yeah, you would see all the partners that Nigeria has borrowed money from. You see bilateral, multinational. So you see World Bank, IFC. They're all there. You see how much and what we're paying them back in interest. They are usually very, very cheap. I would say World Bank, those partners are like 40%, but the cost is usually way, way, way cheaper than the Eurobonds. So that's the way you want to. Go ahead.
Sorry to cut you. I meant like dues, like yearly dues, like not like the debts we collect.
Like, that's for Otumba. Otumba will help us with that. Otumba, he wants to know how much we pay as maybe, it says a cooperative society. How much do we have to contribute? And he also has to know about profits. Vasi, if you could be more direct, are you saying that just normal waste of funds would affect how the World Bank? Can you ask a more direct question, if you don't mind, on that one?
Okay, yes. The direct question is, since we have a peculiar problem of profligacy, is there a framework to ensure that it doesn't affect project delivery? Yeah, own assertiveness.
All right. But he had those two questions. How much do we contribute? Also, profligacy affecting delivery. If you could take us.
Okay. So in terms of whether there's annual subscription, honestly, I don't know, because that's not my area. My area is when government bring a request around health, and we prepare the project with the government, and then we supervise. So all those take but I know when they do the IDA replenishment. So all those international multilateral organizations, so Global Fund, for example, that's for HIV, TB, and malaria. Gavi, that's for vaccine. And now we have pandemic fund, that is for to help against epidemic preparedness and response, like disease outbreak. We also have a GFF, Global Financial Facility for maternal and child death. So all those multilateral organizations like this that have focus on different areas. So what they do fundraising, or what we call replenishment, every within this time, sometimes maybe 3 years, maybe 4 years, maybe 5 years. For Gavi, for example, 5 years. So developed countries, they are the ones that will pledge to say, okay, I will support Gavi for vaccines of something with $1 billion. So the World Bank also have that part. The IDA, the International Development Association, the IDA credits. We don't get IDA grants in Nigeria. We get IDA credits. It's a loan. Any money I get from IDA, that is from that big money. It's always a loan that I have to pay back. So that IDA, they do replenishment or the fundraise for IDA every 3 years. So all countries, individuals, philanthropists contribute to that IDA, to the IDA post. So sometimes Nigeria can also go that, okay, we're also putting $50 million as part of our own control to that IDA, to the IDA post for that cycle. Global Fund might do their own replenishment or fundraising. Nigeria can say, okay, even though we are getting grants from all these people, we're also putting $10 million as part of our contribution. So that's the way it happens. So I know countries can do based on what they do, but I'm not sure whether we pay a yearly subscription. I don't have that information.
All right.
But in terms of how do we how do we contain waste? How does the bank contain waste of resources so that we know that we don't waste resources? So for number one, for every project, so we start from during preparation. Every project will have a clear-cut objective called what we call project development objective (PDO). So every project will have what is the focus on. So that PDO will also ensure that the results that we want to see from that. So through that PDO will give you an idea of what result you want to see, and then from that result you put an M&E plan, what you call a result framework that you want to see. If the money that you set up for that to achieve that objective, if that money is not spent well, it will affect the achievement of the PDO. So what the World Bank does is to supervise that, to supervise project closely. So the team in the World Bank, so every year the government will prepare what they call an annual work plan and budget. So if a project is 6 years project, for example, so for year one you have an annual work plan for that project. Okay, this is what I want to do. And all the activities you are proposing must be in line with the project development objective. Because whatever you are doing must help you to ensure that you meet your objective that you set. So what the World Bank team will do is to review that work plan and remove any activity that is not relevant. For example, if you want to say you want to improve learning outcome, for example, that by providing basic education to pupils across the country, and you are saying, okay, I'm buying 30 Eluxes or 40 gyms or whatever, that can it has to be in your work plan, because whatever is not the work plan, you cannot implement it. So all that any action that is not relevant or is wasteful, the bank team has responsibility to say no, we cannot. This is not eligible for funding. So the bank team can refuse it.
Otumba.
When the work plans are approved, like the budgets are approved for eligible activity, before they implement, they will still write what they call a concept note, where they will explain that for this activity, this is what activity we achieve, and this is the way I want to implement it, and this is how much it will cost me. That budget, they were saying a budget of 20 million naira for an activity, for example. By the time the bank will have to review and provide what you call a no objection. Without a no objection, you cannot implement. If you implement, it's an ineligible expenditure. You are going to refund that money back to the World Bank. So the bank will review and remove whatever, like wastages or whatever. You can say, I want to rent a hall of 1 million naira. Why will not? We can rent a hall for 200,000 naira. So you consider to 200,000 naira. So the bank team has that responsibility.
All right.
Or you want to hire a consultant, and say you are going to pay a consultant by 5 million naira per month. Say, no, this is not the prevailing rate in the country. Reduce it. So that's what the bank team has that supervision responsibility.
Gotcha.
Of the project as they implement.
All right. So Martin, I wanted to read. I got a DM from someone that is following. Let me read. It's kind of long, but let me just try to read it. I've also shared it on my timeline. Yeah, it's just let me just read it for you. I think you get the what he's saying. Hold up. The World Bank is not one of the 5 spearheading partners in the GPEI. These are the World Health Organization, Rotary, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the United Nations Children's Fund, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. However, we work closely with GPEI and country governments to provide financing to help eradicate polio. In Nigeria, this led to introducing innovative buy-down financing mechanisms for polio education more than 10 years ago that greatly increased the resources provided by development partners. Through this buy-down mechanism, every dollar invested by the Gates Foundation and Rotary International generated about $2. So every dollar invested by the Gates Foundation and the Rotary International generated about $2 for polio eradication in Nigeria through IDA, with a similar mechanism in place for Pakistan. So some good clarification, I would say they're innovative.
Yeah, no, that's very correct. Like I said, the GPI, the partners there, they are not mostly the founders, the only founders. For example, WHO, UNICEF, they get support. For example, part of the money that the country got from the World Bank, WHO, part of the money goes to WHO to support all those people that you see on the field doing routine immunization campaign. UNICEF also got money that they were using to do what's it called now? Demand generation, community engagement activities and everything. But the bank provided a lot of resources to the government. So if you want to count if you want to talk about the success rate of the success story for polio eradication in Nigeria, government of Nigeria will say yes, we will put in money to support the efforts. And part of the money that we put in, substantial part of it was borrowed from the World Bank. Do you understand? So World Bank money is technically government's own money.
All right, gotcha. Let's get Sab. Also, I want to get more guys to ask you questions, so I'm just going to get them in. I've got SA Sab. Did I get that right? Sab? And on Tumba, someone said, I don't know if someone said that they want you to speak slower so they can follow you. They're not Nigerian, so I'm just saying, I understand it, but they don't want you to speak slower so they can follow you.
No, I didn't indicate to talk. Just listen.
Yeah, but you're a speaker. Okay, got you. Mohammed, you're on the call. Mohammed, please go ahead. Mohammed? Okay, let's get Fola. Fola with 2 A's. Fola with 2 A's. Go ahead. Fola with 2 A's. Mohammed. Yes, Mohammed, please go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Carlo.
Yes, please go ahead. Tumba is here with us. We're talking World Bank and all that. So what's your question?
Okay. Thank you for having me. With regards to an issue raised about the implementation aspect of World Bank loan taken, there was a question asked: what if the loan taken from World Bank is not being implemented? What happens?
Yes, correct. What happens?
You cite an example, yes. When you cite an example with a bridge, if say for instance Nigeria borrows money from World Bank to build a bridge, and that bridge is not being built, what happens? So, Mr. Kalaja, from the part of World Bank, I will categorically tell you that nothing happens. Do you know why? The reason is the World Bank is not really actually after the development of Nigeria. After the debt service and what they will make. So, if Nigeria do not implement that loan as the reason for which they took the loan, the World Bank wouldn't do anything because they know Nigeria will still be servicing that debt. Had it been World Bank is really supervising and to make sure that the loan being borrowed is being implemented, I am categorically telling you that Nigeria would have been far, far better than where we are today. So that's my take. Thank you.
All right,
Mr. Utumba, you are doing wonderfully well.
All right, thank you for that.
Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Thank you. Yeah, Fola, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Kalu. Thank you also for the expose on World Bank. First question would be that if at some point we were like the poverty capital of the world at some point, what are the metrics for making a country or a World Bank client, not the World Bank group now, qualify for the ID? Free loan that you pay for a period of 30 years. In case of debt collection and all of that, what's the role of ISKID? You get what I'm saying? Otuba. ISKID, I mean International Center for Settlement of Investment Dispute, right?
I think that was a small lag. Can you repeat the question?
So I said,
can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you now.
Oh. Thank you, Oba. So, I mean, this is a topic I'm very much interested in. So, if once categorized as the capital, poverty capital of the world,
I think around 2018. Yeah, that was like the mantra going on in the country as at then. At what point do we qualify for IDA? At what point do we qualify for IDA grants? Because I know those are interest-free loans. That's the first question. Hello?
Yes, I heard you perfectly.
Okay. So do you want to take that first, though?
Okay. So I was waiting for Mr. Khan.
Oh, please go ahead. Please, you just jump all over it, yeah.
Okay. So whether a country will get either grants or either credit or IBRD loan is a function of what's the GDP per capita for that country. So for Nigeria, so every year the World Bank classify countries into different economic groups. So that would be least developed countries. That would be lower income country. That would be lower middle income country and upper middle income country. So ideally, once you move to upper middle income country, you cannot get any form of either. You can only get IBRD loan.
Okay. Reconstruction and development.
Yes, but if you are a lower middle income country or you are a least developed country, I think that's another one that's the last one. the worst form of countries. You are qualified. You can get either.
So
the least developed countries are the ones that get either grants. Grants is free money. You don't pay back.
No, I thought there's a particular IDA fund that probably after 30 years, but it's interest free.
No. There's no interest free. So the IDA credit is also a loan. It's also a loan that which will be paid back. Also have interest. I think it's 1.25% per annum. Less than 2%. Generally. For either, but you might have up to 10 years moratorium, and then can be up to 25 to 40 years before you pay. So you spread it over 25 to 40 years to pay back. But there is no, if you are getting either grants, you are getting grants free money, you are not paid back. But if you are getting either credits, it's a loan which will be paid back, but with minimal interest and longer term to pay back. So Nigeria currently, we are a blessed country. We take either credit and also take IBRD loan, because when we rebase our economy that time, we moved up.
Okay, so the follow up would be Dotun, that since Nigeria's GDP has come down, I think we've gone nearly half. We're now about nearly below 300. Do we then now qualify for the IDA?
No, we still get either credits.
So my point is that now that we're lower, do we get the grant now? Because now we're
No, we don't get grant.
Why now?
No, grant is for countries like very, very poor countries like Sierra Leone.
What's the difference?
Very poor countries. Yeah, so very, very poor countries.
I don't want to ask, but what's the difference? Like,
and what they get is not much. You can't because now if you're a bank now, let's say by UBA for example, and you want to give money, you want to do like a CSR. You will not give what you can give to the friend I want to borrow.
Let's explore that. Let's explore that. There are more poor people in Nigeria than Sierra Leone.
Nigeria is not qualified. Nigeria is not qualified for either grants.
Oh, why not? That's what I'm asking. Is it that we're not that poor?
No. As in, we are not as in, okay, so the classification that the economic classification for country, we are among the least developed country.
Ah, okay. All right, I hear you.
So because now we are looking at the entire country, not because of the poor alone.
Gotcha.
But everything, the country as a whole.
Everything. For did you have a follow-up question? I think you had this. Is that what you want to find out? Ask for you good? Fola, you good? Okay.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Kalu.
You're very welcome, Fola. Thank you so much. And SAB, I'm not sure if you want to speak. I know you came back on. Did you have a question, SAB? For Otumba, I think it was, believe it or not, Mr. Otumba, you asked me how long we were going to spend, and I told you that minimum we'll spend close to be about 2 or 3 hours. Believe it or not, we'll spend close to 2 hours talking over this boring question of the World Bank. I've learned a lot just talking to you, even if you're not giving answers to that are supposed to be answered by the World Bank themselves. I think you're giving us great insight into how the World Bank operates. Let me share with you the question I'm getting all over my DMs and even on my notification. This is the one question everybody's asking. They are asking that it seems that World Bank projects are not successful in Nigeria. They are asking it in one way or the other. Either why didn't this one work or why didn't that one work? But there seems to be a sense that even if the projects are working, we don't know about them. There's a lot of loans. We are looking at the loan sheet together. A lot of things here I'm seeing here for state governments, and I'm worried that who is tracking these things? Have these things been done? Most of them are completed and closed. There is let me not call the State Development Policy Operation. What does that mean? State Employment and Expenditure for Results Project. Statistics Development. Indeed, I don't know. But there's some very good ones here. I see Kainji Hydropower Plant Rehabilitation. That's also been closed. That was way back in 2011. Very hard. There's State Urban Water Sector. Perhaps for me, if I could pass any policy, I would just say that Nigeria should only go to the World Bank for infrastructure projects. I did not even know that the World Bank could fund infrastructure. I had assumed because of recent we've been funding most of these soft projects, social welfare, capacity building. I had assumed that was education and health. I didn't know the World Bank could fund railways. I didn't know that, or could fund bridges. So I would like us to just go back and use the World Bank because their funds are cheaper for infrastructure, because we can touch and feel infrastructure, and then we can go back to the development partners for these soft things. There are lots of foundations out there: Ford Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Rotary. They can do most of all these umbrella projects. But the real hardcore projects, build a railway, build a bridge, let's just go back to the World Bank and say, this is what we're interested in. Don't bring any project that is not tied to health, education, or infrastructure to the World Bank. What's your take on this? Just that. So it was two questions.
Yeah.
One was, why does the World Bank projects are not working in Nigeria? And number two, should we just go straight and just do just infrastructure? Please go ahead.
So thank you, sir. So I think it's first of all, we need to get the government to look at what is the priority that they want to borrow money for. Like Peter Obi will always say that yes, don't borrow money for consumption, borrow for what we need to put up for productive purpose. So if the government decides, okay, today going forward from any of these multilateral, not just the World Bank alone, because we're talking about World Bank, but there are other multilateral organizations that other multilateral, even bilateral, that also give loan to the government. So AFDB is there, African Bank is there, Islamic Bank is there, JICA also give loans sometimes. The French Government Agency also give loan, even though their own terms are more excruciating, but they're more stringent than the bank. So many ministers of finance want to take World Bank first before you move to other routes. So if the government is saying, okay, we are not going to take any loan for any of these soft projects that's going to be for only infrastructure project alone, then that's a decision that the government will make, and then of course let that be part and parcel of what can work, what they will discuss with the World Bank in their CPF, in the country planning framework. Okay, this is what we want to focus attention on, and then these are the requirements will be coming to you. Once the board of the World Bank approve that CPF, because that CPF also needs to go to the board of the World Bank for approval. Once they approve that, it becomes a framework of what the bank support. But that initiative is definitely going to come from the bank. But the thing is that if you say they are not going to be borrowing money for infrastructure, that means we are saying that health, education, social protection, you rely on government funding alone or other partners. there's no any other partner, any of these people that give grants. They cannot give you grants that will be in the magnitude of what they get from the World Bank. So whether Rotary Found, Gates Foundation, Ford Foundation, any of these particular agencies, their budget is always infinitesimal. I take that back. Their budget is relatively smaller compared to what can get from something. But health is also important. Without good health is important for development. We say health is wealth. So we need to make sure that people are healthy before we can get all this infrastructure to be used. Education, you need to have a well-educated human resource to take over this industry and everything. So we cannot. It will be a difficult argument unless government simply and put my money. I can assure you, money will be there, and government fund this as it is. Let me. Okay, so that for something as for COVID, I'm sure you know that the government know how to borrow money to buy to procure COVID vaccine. So if you say, okay, we only want to do infrastructure. We are not yet sure that how to what extent COVID will affect the nation economic output. So, but government has to procure the vaccines, and the vaccines are not cheap. So, but that decision is made. I think it's mostly will be made by the government. But in terms of whether World Bank projects they are seen to be not so. I think the challenge that most of the projects funded by the bank is that they don't communicate. You know, this thing this discussion that we are having. It's like I said. I'm not speaking for the bank. I'm not speaking for the World Bank. But how good will it be if different projects that the World Bank is financing actually provide information to the public? To say we got this loan from the government loan from the bank, and it's supposed to do X, Y, and Z, and the public they are aware, and we have the National Assembly that also do their own oversight properly. People will be well aware, and then we can get more value for money. So the general thing is that it's not only about World Bank money. It's the World Bank money that we are borrowing. It's just small. It's relatively small compared to the overall budget that the government spend annually.
Yeah,
so how do we ensure that the resources that we spend,
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. How do we ensure that those funds are utilized for the best to improve the life of citizens?
I hear you. I think it's just the most of the questions that you can't really answer them. So I get it, but the feedback, if there's any World Bank person listening in, the feedback is that the World Bank is giving money to Nigerian government, and the Nigerian government is not doing a good job. And the the World Bank is then giving Nigerian government more money. There are more money coming. I'm looking at the project pipeline for the World Bank. If I'm correct, I'm looking at nearly 10 billion. If it is correct,
yeah. No, it's not up to that. It's not up to that.
Let's look at it together.
We have hope for $500 million.
Let's look at it together.
Look at this project. You see the dates. There's one for September. There are one for September.
Okay, this is how many zeros is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So this first one here is solutions for internally displaced. This is 1, 2, 3. Is it 300 million? How much is this? They don't put commas. So
it's $300 million. That's pipeline.
So $300 million. The next one is how much? Rural access for marketing. That's $500 million. So we're nearly at 800. Then the next one is 500. Is that 5 billion or 5 million? Which is
$500 million.
So we're at 1.3 million. The next one is how much?
6.5.
So how much is that? So where are we now at? So 1.3 plus 6 is how much is that? What are these mass people?
That's just a little bit under 2 billion.
2 billion. Okay, the next one is 500 million.
Yeah, 2.5.
So where are we at now? Total now.
and just a little bit under 2.5.
So pipeline 2.5. Pipeline. And already active. There's one. The next one here, the reset one is 1.5. It's 2.4 billion. The reset. The total reset.
I think we didn't get to talk about the DPF.
Yeah.
So the DPF. So there are I mentioned three instruments that the bank used to give money. So one is the IPF, the investment project financing, where before you buy anything, before you spend that money, you get a no objection from the World Bank. The World Bank supervises.
Yeah.
You get a no objection before you disburse money. Then second one is program for results. In that case, the bank will say, show me the results, and I disburse the money you are pouring to you. That's program for results. The third one is the DPF, development project financing. So that one we call that one like budget support. So as you know, when government do their budgets, there's always the external borrowing part of it that they want to do. And government will look at their borrowing class. Okay, I think I can get $2 billion from one bank. So that one is project support. But the World Bank will not give you. If you want to borrow money from the World Bank, there must always be something that almost a result that the bank want to see. So for project support, for the DPF, there will be some prior action, like a reform that the government will have to do that will improve the economy overall.
I get you.
Before you can get that money to be borrowed.
But
so that money is disbursed once. Once you meet all the prior action, you get all the money once.
So if you count the pipeline plus the DPF you're talking about, that's $5 billion. This is the point I'm making. And with this is just 6 lines. This page alone has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 lines. It does go back to 2021. So let's be honest. Let's stop at 2024 for the government. If we stop at 2023 for the government, then yeah, it starts from them up about $5 billion from the World Bank. And I think Nigerians are just asking that, listen, this money should go to where it's supposed to go to. I think that's really what Nigerians are saying. They want this money. They want to see the impact. Again, we have to go back to, we can see Apapa Wharf. I get the point you mean about health and education being important. We can see Apapa Wharf. It was built by the World Bank or funded by the World Bank. We can see the bridge over the Gongola River is still there till today. We can see it. I shared the picture on my TL. It's still there. We can see it. We are not going to see additional financing for adolescent girls initiative, learning and empowerment. I support adolescent girls, but Nigeria sells crude oil. Why can't Nigeria support adolescent girls with crude oil, with even IDA funds, i.e. Mr. Bill Gates money and our crude oil? Why can't we fund them with that? Why are we borrowing money for adolescent girls? Why are we borrowing money for you can borrow money for everything, but in the end, you got to pay back. You are borrowing in dollars. When we borrow this money, when we wrote this proposal, I'm sure dollar was 1,000 naira. Now dollar is 1,600, which means that I did a report this year, that if you take the total 2023 revenues, this is actual. If you take the 2023 actual revenues, oil and non-oil, it cannot pay Nigeria's